Hello everyone, Diamond Matt here. Today we will be looking at the top 5 SMGs in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So let's start off with the first one on the list, the fifth one on the list, the Uzi. Oh, and by the way, before I go in more in this gun, I just want to let you guys know that it's gonna be from like number 5, meaning so the okayest, to number 1 being the best. Now, let's get on with number 5 being the Uzi. Now, the Uzi here is, I would rank as 5th, mainly because of its accuracy being just a little bit off. Like, it requires you to aim a little bit more on the head constantly than just on the body, I would say. Because it takes about 2.5 to 3 seconds, I would say, for a person, instead of like for just 1 second, or maybe 2.5 seconds. So pretty much, as you can see with this gameplay here, you might notice that it is just a little bit hard, but it's possible to go on like, I don't know, like a 6 kill streak or so on with this weapon. But in the end, I think the gun is pretty cool with or without some attachments, because I mean, it is pretty it's like a fast-paced weapon, of course I would call it, but it just mainly would suffer on attachments that try to get it on a pretty high mobility level. But once you put a bunch of high mobility optics and many other attachments, then I'm sure you'll get to a good pretty stand with the Uzi. And since I have really nothing much else to say with the Uzi here, besides it having very fast-paced action with it, I'll just let some of the recording take over, so you can see how exactly the Uzi managed to get into 5th place, and then we'll move on to number 4 from there.
Locked on target. Fire. Enemy VTOL in the AO. Changing mag. Enemy precision airstrike. Get down. We've reached the halfway point. Get moving. Allied forces strike incoming. Reloading.
Alright, so I personally think it is time to go on to the next weapon of this list. So on the number 4th place of the SMG ranking, I'm going to say that the weapon that should be in 4th place is it is the if I can remember, the PP-19 Bison. So what I really like about this weapon here is that it's like control of it. You can like really get a good grip of the control, and I think that's like the number 1 big pro for this weapon. And what it's meant for is that the Uzi, the Bison here, it's really good for control, and the accuracy is pretty decent, like not the best unless you acquire and put on the monolithic suppressor. But yeah, It's pretty good. Mobility on this weapon, however, can be quite low. Just like the Uzi, it kind of is a bit hard to like put that mobility on this weapon, unless you have that no stop. And yeah, but then it'll just make the control of the weapon a bit hard to quite aim with. As I have some personal experience with it for quite some months. But I can tell you that yes, by playing in Team Deathmatch, Search and Destroy, and many other game modes, it's a pretty fun and fair weapon to use in most occasions. But I would say that the main purpose of this SMG being in 4th place is that the con of just being that its accuracy and the range might be just a bit bad. Because of course it's an SMG, but I'd say that, yeah, that is why it's to be in 4th place of the list itself. But oh, and one final thing is, does it really go well in long ranges if you acquire the monolithic suppressor, since the range will mildly increase? That's a no. So now we'll move on to the 3rd weapon of the list. The 3rd weapon of the list is the MP7, which is once again very meant for its control. But I can say that the PP19 Bison will beat it with a very good control of it. But when it comes to the MP7, I think the #1 main thing that made it go into the 3rd place is the accuracy of the weapon. Because I find that most of the attachments can really just improve that accuracy very well, including some blueprints that you can find in the game itself. And the mobility is also another fine thing with this weapon. Mainly the two things that I'd say that's good about this weapon is that it's very good on its accuracy, and maybe just a bit decent on the mobility. But the things that I would say that makes it a bit bad would be just its range, because there's not many, I would say, attachments that can like do well on its range, except for one of the little barrels that you can apply on it. What else? It comes with a 30 or 60 round mag, so that's what's pretty good too. And that if you have good aim by practicing with this weapon, you'll be good on its accuracy and range with it. And I'm sorry, accuracy and mobility. But yeah, this is why I'd say it's in between, because you can see that it's a very decent weapon in between, which is why I am ranking it in 3rd place here. So since I'm in the mood to show off some other gameplay, here's some more gameplay of the MP7 itself.
Enemy UAV overhead. Enemy in the back alley. Enemy cruise missile incoming.
Alright, so it looks like it is now time to move on to the 2nd weapon of the list, which is the one and only Striker 45. So the Striker 45, I'd say, I kind of feel like this SMG kind of teeted itself to becoming more of, like, actually just a little bit of like an assault rifle, but primarily I treat it as an SMG. The reason why it's kind of, I feel as if it's an assault rifle, causing it to be #2 in the list, is because that I feel that even though the control is a bit off this time, even though you can master that, I'm sure of, it's this accuracy on it that can really do the best. Including if you have some very good attachments, I would say that mobility doesn't matter the most on this weapon because of how well the damage is with the Striker 45, since you can just kill them in, I would say, about 3 to 7 shots. That's kind of like around how many bullets it can take to the head of how easy it can take to kill a person with this weapon here. But yeah, I would say that it is a decent weapon, and it can do pretty well with just a few bits of long ranges, but since it has such of a fast firing rate, that's why in close quarter ranges, I'd say that this here is a very good SMG to put all together for the Striker 45. Since yeah, you can see why I would put it in second place on the list. And I believe there isn't quite else to say. Oh yeah, and for iron sights, if you're wondering, I can say that I think it's pretty cool that with this weapon, a little something I like that here, is that you can add many not attachments, like more of just the optics. You see, with the optics on, you can have a variety of optics, because if you have a Strike 45 with no optic at all, you're gonna have a very, very, very hard time because of how tiny it is. Because it is, I have to tell you, very, very, very tiny. So this is why this weapon is a required weapon, I would say, that at least needs to have some sort of optic on it. Because in the end, I would say if you get like a solo reflex optic, or just one of those mini small optics, or like the one you see in this video here, it's just perfect enough for an SMG like this, since it's also very fast firing, which also somehow be able to make it to the second part of the list here. And I believe that is actually it for what I have to say about this weapon. So let's try to take a little bit more look into the gameplay to see if the Striker 45 is worthy, and then we'll move on to number 1.
Enemy personal radar online. Here they come. Attack! Lead is ours. Keep pushing.
Alright, so it is now time to show the MP5, which is actually first place on the list. Now, the reason why is because you can combine many attachments on the MP5, and with that ability to put a variety, I mean a huge variety of attachments on the MP5, you can really make it like something that has no recoil, to something that's meant for accuracy, to extreme heights of mobility. This weapon can transform into many things than just 2 to 3 transformations. That's why I would say MP5 first, because of how well and how many varieties you can put with the MP5. But yeah, it can go to 30 to 60 mags. There's many types of scopes and optics you can put on it. And it has like, I think a 1 laser and a 5 laser and like a tac laser, which makes the weapon a little bit even cooler. And that the mobility on it, with some decent control that comes with it, if you can like master, like I would just say that the MP5 requires a little bit of mastery on some aim for it. But once you get the hang of its own recoil, then yeah, you can really pop off with this weapon here that that can really sew. But yeah, I can tell you that with I think my personal thought on the #1 cool thing about the MP5 is that you can apply many optics rating, but as long as you have very good mobility by changing its stock really, or by, you know, just doing some other attachments that increase its mobility, you can have a very easy and good time with this weapon. And I think it takes like about, I believe, a total of like 8 to 9 shots in the head for like the MP5, because I have to even say that this, even most attachments on the weapon can like enable hip fire accuracy on a pretty good level. But yeah, I have to say that it's just pretty cool how most of these packs can really make this weapon go off. And if you just put it in like any way you imagine, I can say that it just goes in a good spot. Even like if the accuracy is very good on this weapon, you can even hit quite from some medium to short ranges, but not like really long ranges, of course. Like so, like I would say the range of like where an AK-47 is appropriate of shooting at. That's where even this MP5 I'm using can even go to, with some good attachments, of course. But yeah, that out of the way, that's it for me on this one. But I'm just, since I want to show off a little bit more cooler gameplay with the MP5, I'm gonna just show y'all just recording at this point. But that will be it for me. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video.